Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 147 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on January 24th, 2023. Man, how are all you wonderful folks doing on this fine evening? I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I am. I think I am. For those of you who traveled to SHOT Show, I hope you are recovering nicely. To those of you I was able to meet last week of the show, it was great to meet you. There are a lot of people that I was able to meet for the first time, and some old friends that I was able to see again, so that was really great. To those of you who I was not able to meet with, I'll catch you next time, so no worries. It was a very busy show, so I couldn't get around to meeting everyone that I needed to, but I made the best effort, and it was pretty good. I'm sure all of you saw the R&D publication I published last week. I published that during the show. Man, that was pretty stressful getting that out, but I made it happen, and I think it was a neat thing. Yeah, I think that was pretty good. So today, we'll go into the technical discussion about the R&D program and article, and I have a few other topics prepared as well, and we'll go into those too. Okay, so sit back, relax, and let's talk about silencers. Yeah, and even machine guns. Yeah, and some of you have never shot a machine gun, but you should. And one way to do that is at a place like Top Gun Range. That's right, the J Situation Podcast is now proudly sponsored by Top Gun Range Houston. Yeah, if you're in the Houston area, even if you're just visiting, they're worth checking out. In addition to having a 15-lane indoor range, they have the largest firearm rental fleet in the state of Texas. Yeah, you can rent pistols, rifles, shotguns, and that's right, you guessed it, machine guns. Yeah, I know that sounds really fun, but I would also add, when shopping for a new carry pistol, one that you need to ensure, will be practiced with regularly, I think trying before you buy can be great. I'm not saying you have to buy a gun there, but, at least go there and shoot and go somewhere and shoot a gun. So you can check out their firearm rental inventory on their website at topgunrange.com. You can also find them on Instagram at topgunrange, so go check them out. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by High-End Armament Technology. That's right, a dealer of exactly that, high-end arms and accessories. They have significant longevity in the machine gun and NFA game, as well as significant expertise in both the procurement and operation, night vision, thermal optics, and infrared sighting systems. Robert and his crew have decades of experience and actual knowledge of the gear, so if there's a weapon system that's rare, maybe you're having trouble finding it, or you want to get into the crazy optics game, transferable machine gun game, they're a great place to call. Check them out at highendarms.com, on Instagram at highendarms, and on Facebook, which is also High-End Arms. I hope Robert and his crew can help you out. Tell them Jay sent you. And as always, the J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop. You can use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, you cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's pretty great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. And I got some coupon codes and stuff to help you guys out, help you save some money. Go to the show notes. You'll find a link to True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. Use the code word PEW Science when you buy ammo from those guys. So hit the link on the website. That'll take you to their site. That helps PEW Science using that. Then use the code word PEW Science to check out to get $20 off your membership for free shipping for the whole year. If you buy a lot of ammo, it can help. And then also there's a link to Magpul. You can go ahead and click that and use code word PSTEN to get $10 off your order $100 or more, which can help you buy magazines like a lunatic. That's right. Who doesn't like to do that? And of course, lastly, this podcast is sponsored by PEW Science, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. That's right. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest and most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way to all the combustion is gone. And PEW Science is the home of the silence today. PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. There are 7 sections of the standard. It's the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the world. Check it out on pewscience.com. And you can support this podcast. You can support Pew Science. You can support all the testing that I do for you by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. It really helps. It really helps. You guys make this happen. And if you don't like that recurring thing, you just want to, I don't know, throw me a bone and help me out every once in a while, there's a donate feature on the review page and the podcast page. Every little bit helps. And something that's free, doesn't cost you anything. You can rate this podcast on Spotify and iTunes and give it a good old 5-star rating there. It helps folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Normalize the use of suppressed small arms for everybody. That's right. Okay, so I have 3 topics prepared for you today. The first topic is Sound Signature Review 6.101, the CGS SCI-SIX on the 5.56 Mark 18. This is the technical discussion of the SCI-SIX program. Last time you had the introductory discussion when I was at SHOT Show. This time you'll get the nitty-gritty, as it were. Topic 2, the Knight's Armament Mark 23 USP silencer. I've been shooting it on the Mark 23. I've been liking it. Can't wait to test it. Is 45 ACP better than subsonic 300 blackout? I mean, maybe. Possibly. Probably. Topic 3, new Pew Science testing. The effort does continue. I was going to say, as we start to explore more use cases, the testing might evolve. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of your most desired setups and your most desired locations, and how will you use your silencer in reality? Ask yourself that. So we'll go into that. Okay, topic 1 at a time of 7 minutes and 8 seconds. All right, get a drink of water here. Hopefully I can keep this bottle the whole time and not go through it. Okay. Topic 1. Oh, 1 second. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6.101. The CGS SCI-SIX on the 5.56 Mark 18. Again, this is the technical discussion. We went through the intro last time. Per typical. Okay, so this was an incredible effort. And by the way, if you haven't listened to the previous episode where I did the intro to this, you really need to. I guess if you read the article, you probably don't have to listen to that episode, but if you don't know the stuff in that episode, I'm not going to cover everything again. And it's going to go over a lot of the programmatics. So I encourage you to listen to the previous episode first. Okay. So assuming you have, let's go on. Yeah, incredible effort, incredible team. I had the pleasure of meeting the entire program team at SHOT Show. Yeah, so as shown in the article, that team included CGS, SC Irregulars, Noveski, and Pew Science. That was the program team for the program. Before I pulled the trigger on publishing the article, I was able to verify the field team's impressions of the silencer variants in person. I didn't want to write anything in the article that was untrue or didn't, anything like that. So as it stands, I think this article is the publication I am most proud of in the standard. Besides the standard itself, and there's some research stuff I did that I'm pretty proud of too. Omega Metric I'm pretty proud of, but this review, I guess, it's a lot different than what I've published before, and I'm really proud of this. I'm showing my pride because I just really want you to know how happy this makes me. This article proves the efficacy of the standard to the world, right? It shows what a real team can do when they leverage the power of the standard with objective testing and analysis. And I think this is probably the most impactful piece of work seen by the silencer industry in quite some time. And I know that sounds like a lot of big words, but I do believe that to be true. And I think if you read it, especially the member version of the article, you're going to see that it's hard to argue with that. I don't think that some of the naysayers have read this, because if they actually read this article, like the whole thing, I think it's pretty convincing, man. I mean, it's pretty cool. I did want to, so I kind of went through, so the way I'm going to do this talk today, I'm going to talk technically like I typically do, but also, you know how I tell you first I do the data release and then I talk technical? And the reason for that is so I want the emotion to wear off and let people kind of think critically so they can be primed to understand. Well, there's another reason I do that. It's because there's a lot of questions that happen and I like to be able to answer them all at once. So some of this is going to be me answering some questions that I've seen. Some of it's going to be me talking technical. And some of it's going to be me answering some questions that CGS has gotten, because I happened to call CGS today before I started recording this, because I was like, hey, I'm about to talk like a lot about this article. Is there something that I haven't said that I need to, do you think? And so, talked to Bobby. He let me know what some consumers have been asking them, so I'll go ahead and knock those out too. I feel like that's efficient, right? Okay, so moving on. This is me personally wanted to say something. So I wanted to address something up front that I said when I shared this to social media. I believe I think I said it in the article and everywhere, but I think on Reddit there was a discussion about it that I saw. It was kind of interesting. I was trying to summarize the performance and characteristics of the SCI-SIX in a way that most people familiar with silencers would understand. Okay, so what I did is I called the SCI-SIX at a high level a more balanced and durable RC2. Okay, and when I called it more durable, I did that without presenting you with objective data to reinforce that statement, didn't I? Yeah, I didn't put durability data in the article, but I did say that, didn't I? Yeah, I did. And the reason I said it is because the objective data that reinforces that statement was shared with me, but it's not mine to share with you. Okay? But that information is directly from the program team, and specifically one of the field validators, so that's why I highlighted it. I wasn't not going to say it. It's part of the SCI-SIX program. It's part of the reason why the program exists. That's one of the problems with the RC2 that the solicitation author has, that other people have. I don't know what else to tell you other than I said what is true. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? So I don't have the actual durability data for you, but it's one of those, trust me, bro. Yeah, is it really trust me, bro? No, it's actually pretty well known at this point. And I responded to a gentleman on social media about that. I actually told him technically why, and he didn't want to hear that, but I'll say it again here just so people understand it. I mean, you do need to know this if you don't know it, because I think we've all talked about this, and if we haven't, let's talk about it. So I can explain to you why something like the SCI-SIX would be more durable than an RC2. I can explain this to you. We oftentimes talk about materials influencing a silencer's durability. Okay. We also talk about firing schedule. We talk about barrel length. We talk about cartridge. We talk about muzzle devices, actually, funny enough. And all of these things, in addition to the flow characteristics of the silencer, which is another thing, all of these things influence durability. Okay? So, the SOCON 556 RC2 by Surefire, very durable 556 silencer, very durable. No question. It's designed for the Mark 18, and there are a lot of folks running RC2 silencers with very high round counts. But if you have paid attention over the years, or if you shoot tens of thousands of rounds per year through the RC2 on an SBR, like certain people do, you will see that they do wear out. Okay? They do. The baffle stack of an RC2, it vents immediately. Okay? It's one of the things that makes the RC2 so awesome. It's actually one of the reasons why I love the RC2. The RC2 is one of my favorite silencers. It vents immediately in that blast chamber. It goes backward. Right? You've seen, Google a cutaway, Google a baffle geometry of the RC2. Look at the patent, look at an X-ray, look at someone who cut it apart. The silencer's been on the market for a long time. You should have no problem seeing how this works. We've talked about it ad nauseum. It vents through those blast chamber openings, and it's high pressure gas, super high temperature. You're shooting on a Mark 18, there's weak points in there, man. It's weak points there. There's weak points in the structure of the blast baffle. Like when you're using a 3-prong, you're going to wear that. You're going to cut right through it. With enough sustained fire, with high round count on a Mark 18 with, short barrel 5.56 with an RC2 with the 3-prong, you're going to cut through that blast baffle. Hey, I'm gonna tell you a dirty little secret. You're going to cut through any silencer's blast baffle on a Mark 18 or HK 416 with a 3-prong. Doesn't matter. You're going to cut through SCI-SIX. You're going to cut through an RC2. You're going to cut through whatever with a 3-prong. Close to it, because it's gonna jet in 3 concentrated areas, which is going to increase the erosion. And when you're doing on a really short barrel with high round counts in succession, it doesn't have time to cool, and it's just gonna be constant plasma action, and you're gonna heat it up. It's gonna. I don't care what the silencer's made of. I don't know of one that won't get damaged. I don't know of one. Okay. But the cutting of the 3-prong is not the only thing. Okay. The cutting with a 3-prong is not the only thing, because if that were the only thing that you wanted to protect against, like, we wouldn't have problems with silencers, right? But that's not the only thing. Holistically, the continuous structure and the way that the SCI-SIX and the Helios QD, these type of silencers, the way they vent and the way they transfer gas progressively through the stack, they just don't fail like RC2s fail in the back. If you've never failed an RC2, which chances are you haven't because you don't shoot enough, this doesn't matter to you. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because some people get super emotional when you say that something's better than the RC2 in some way, because they like the RC2 and they own it and they feel like they paid a lot of money, and they don't want someone to call their baby ugly, so they get mad at me. I'm just I'm just telling you reality. So remember, the SCI-SIX was created to replace the RC2. Okay, and for this user, so there are things that go on in the structure of the SCI-SIX that work better. Okay, they just work better. It's newer, it's more advanced. It's not going to break like an RC2 could break if you shoot super high round counts. For folks who shoot a ton on short barrels, this matters. Okay, it is most likely true that you listening to this podcast, it probably doesn't matter to you because you probably don't shoot enough. And that's not meant to insult you or patronize you in any way. It's just the reality. Because when you shoot upwards of 50,000 rounds a year or more, it's a job. Okay, it's not a hobby. So chances are, you're listening to this podcast, you don't have time to shoot that much, and you're not. Okay, so don't get bent out of shape if you have an RC2 and now you feel like it's inadequate or something. No, it's like if it's working for you, it's good. It's not stupid if it works, right? So if it's working for you, great. But what I'm telling you, when I called the SCI-SIX a more balanced and durable RC2, which is a gross oversimplification, when I called it that, well, I wasn't pulling it out of my butt. Okay, I'm being technically accurate. Okay, so there are people that actually do need it, and I don't want to speak for those people because they're not here to elaborate. But I'm going to tell you, I have been told from them firsthand that they only shoot unsuppressed to save the silencers. Let me repeat that. The times when they're shooting unsuppressed is because they're giving their silencers a break because they don't want the silencers to fail. That's how much those people shoot. Okay, and if you think that sounds crazy, again, that's why this doesn't matter to you, so relax. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to, and I'm addressing this at the top of the hour here. I'm addressing this like at the top, the first thing, because I've seen violent reaction to me saying that this is more durable than the RC2, and you guys need to relax. Like, you're not, like, you're getting emotionally involved in something that, just like, calm yourself, my friends. Okay? 1 second. I can tell you right now, I mean, just before we close out this durability discussion, I can tell you anecdotally, like I've taken what I do. Oh yeah, and you've seen it. I'll shoot like a titanium, like a Helios QD Ti on my 11.5 machine gun, full auto, but direct thread, right? There's no like 3-prong on there. I'm not gonna do something dumb, but I've done mag dumps on that. That's not good. Like, you don't want to do that a lot, but like, I know that silencer in particular with direct thread, the way that the muzzle is jetting onto that plate they have in the Helios QD, even if it's titanium, I know what I'm doing with it. And sure, could I fail that silencer on that gun because it's titanium? I mean, probably. If I tried hard enough, I'm sure I could, but there's something to be said, like, I knew it would be okay. Now, when I go and do something, because I want to do hood rat stuff, and like I'm just doing like a lot of close in drill stuff I do, which is like rapid fire, and then I'm doing full auto as well, because I just like to do that because it's fun to me. Like on that, because I just built that BRN4, right? That Brownell's HK416 clone. Well, I put it on my PEW Science machine post sample, the machine gun lower that I use for testing. That's what I shoot on, because it's easy for me administratively, because I don't have to worry about like grabbing the wrong lower. It's a machine gun, so I can put any upper I want. It's just, it trumps SBR, right? So I'm always shooting that thing. It has the Geisley trigger. It's the Anderson. I use it for literally everything I do. What I've been using on that, I would have been using the Inconel Helios QD, but I've had the SCI-SIX variants for a while, and so I've been using those. I've been using that because it's a high performer for that gun, and I know I'm not going to break them. Sure. Could I put an RC2 on that? Well, yeah, I could, but also it doesn't flow as fast, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So it's not as balanced. So like, why would I would rather use a Helios QD before I use an RC2 on a short barrel machine gun if I'm doing full auto, right? Wouldn't I? Right? Yeah. This is all technical. This has nothing to do with brands. Like, all you guys thinking about like brand loyalty, you need to relax. You're not. If like, you might have brand loyalty, and that is fine, and you can have that, and that's super awesome. Like, go for it. But I'm telling you, like, for me, like, I can literally have any silencer I want. So when you see me pick a silencer, or like I'm shooting a silencer, it's literally because that's what I have on the gun that day, or what I want to do, and I'm not beholden to any company, so I don't have to use a silencer. I don't have any like endorsement deals with these people where I have to show a silencer. Okay? Like, I don't even have to show it. Like, when I publish these reviews, I don't have to put a picture of a silencer on my Instagram to do that. That's not part of a contract or anything. No, the only reason I do that is because I want people to know what the article's about. And like, oh, look, here's the cartridge I shot it with. I put the cartridge right there on the concrete, right next to the silencer, right next to the mount I shoot it on. Here you go. I'm so consistent with those photos that you can see the silencer shop used my photo, put it on their website to sell the silencer. Because I guess I'm the only one who took a picture of the SCI-SIX. That's how useful my photos are. Okay, so next time you get upset about me posting because he's putting this, no, dude. It's like I literally take pictures of cool stuff and put them on my Instagram. So I was using durability wise, yeah. Do I use CGS silencers on my rifles a lot for durability? Absolutely. Even the titanium ones, because I know I'm not going to break it. Like I'm not going to put a Nomad TI on my 11.5 machine gun. You're like, Jay, but the Helios QD TI is titanium. How come you won't put a Nomad TI on there, but you'll put the Helios QD TI on? Because it's a different type of silencer. Just because something is the same material doesn't mean it's the same type of thing. Just like the RC2 has some Inconel in it, and the SCI-SIX is completely Inconel, that doesn't mean they have the same durability just because they're the same material. Absolutely not. Just like the Nomad TI doesn't have the same durability as the Helios QD TI. Shoot them both on a machine gun. You see which one breaks first. Relax. Yeah, completely different silencers, guys. Come on, man. It's like I've told you guys this. It's like gas flow and heat and pressure act differently depending on the designs. They really do. Now, am I recommending you go take a titanium silencer, put it on a 5.56 SBR machine gun and go wild? No, I'm not saying to do that. But I'm saying you could for a limited firing schedule. You just got to know what you're doing. And a lot of people say, well, as long as you keep it below 800 degrees. How do you know if it's going to be below 800 degrees? What, you got a thermometer? You're looking at what? You install a thermocouple on your silencer now and you're going to be relax. Just don't be dumb. You know, look what kind of silencer you're using on there. You know, figure it out. I mean, heck, you can use a rugged radiant. You can use a rugged radiant on a machine gun. It's ready. You could do SOCOM firing schedules with surge cycles with a rugged radiant. Yeah, don't they have like a Stellite blast baffle in there? But a lot of it's titanium. The forward section of the rugged radiant's a tubeless titanium thing. It'll get hot, but it probably won't fail first. Completely different silencer than the RC2, completely different silencer than Nomad TI, completely different silencer than Helios QD TI, completely different silencer than SCI-SIX. All different. Gas flow is completely different. Temperature profile is different. Pressure gradients are different. Pressure in the blast chamber is different. Everything's different. The history is different. The blast chambers are venting differently. The people say, oh, well, no, the pressure in the blast chamber is the same, Jay, because it's the same gun. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because what's pressure without duration? Nothing. We have a duration profile. We have pressure over time. Okay, you have a curve. Just like you see in the blowdown curves and the muzzle numbers that I show you, and the ear numbers for that matter, on PEW Science, on the articles, just like you see that, that's a pressure varying with time. Same thing happens in the muzzle. Varies with time. I promise you, each silencer has a different time history for the pressure in the blast chamber. Okay? All right, enough about that. Now, let's go. Okay, I was going to talk about durability. Yeah, so in summary, if durability is truly important to you and you own an RC2, then you already know its vulnerabilities. Okay? And if durability is not important to you, then this point doesn't matter at all to you, and you stopped listening a long time ago. So, 1 second. I can't believe I'm even talking that much about it, but I guess people really want to know. So, like I said, before I started recording this, I spoke to CGS. I want to see, well, did I miss something in the article? You know, because I wrote that by myself, right? They didn't see that before I published it. Like, no one did. You know, they knew my conclusions. They knew the data, but they didn't see what I wrote, right? They didn't have the report. So they got that when you did. And Slade and Noveski got it. They all got PDFs of the full member article because it's their program. They didn't see that before. That's their final deliverable. That member review that you guys saw on the website if you're a member, that's the deliverable for the program from PEW Science. So if you have that, you have the SCI-SIX program summary report. Okay? Just so you know, this is serious. This is not, people say, oh, it's marketing. No. No, that is a test report that you get to read because you joined PEW Science. Okay? So if you think that's marketing, well, that just means you like PEW Science. So awesome. I'm glad you think it's marketing. So I spoke to CGS to see, hey, did I forget anything? I don't think I did, but there are some things that came up, and frankly, I've been getting a lot of the same questions. It's funny. I asked Bobby, I was like, man, what have people been asking you? And he told me, and I was like, oh my God, like I've been getting those DMs too. Weird. Well, I'll cover them now. First thing, no, you cannot pin and weld the mount. Okay? I know you want to. I know you want to pin and weld it. Yes, I know you live in a state that can't have SBRs. I know, but it's not for that, okay? So no, you can't pin and weld it. Now, I will say, you can if you figure out how to on your own. What, you're going to drill a hole in it and then weld? I mean, hey, I wouldn't personally recommend you do that, but you can go wild. It's not really my rodeo. I can tell you it's not designed to do that. Go wild, I guess, but I highly recommend to never pin and weld anything. Second thing, the muzzle device that's going to come with the silencer, it's a closed-tine birdcage flash hider from CGS that they made. It's not the 3-prong, guys. You're not getting that. There's not many of those that exist. You're not getting one. The signature is not going to change, okay? Based on how this silencer works. The thing that makes a difference with the way these silencers, I say these, in the Helios family, in the Hyperion family, the thing that makes a difference technically is orifice standoff. It's not the shape of the flash hider tines for signature, okay? Now, what did I just get done telling you about durability, though? I can tell you the 3-prong, it's going to wear out silencers faster than closed-tine flash hider. Again, look at any RC2 with a 3-prong used heavily on a short barrel. It's super well known, okay? You can see it. It looks like a trident, like a three spoke wheel of cut in the blast baffle of an RC2. You're going to do that, and you know what that blast baffle is made out of? Inconel. It doesn't matter, dude. I'm telling you, Mark 18 3-prong is going to cut your blast baffle. Is it going to change the performance by cutting that blast baffle? Not for an extremely long time. Okay, so anyway, just to let you know, the 3-prong's not coming with the silencer. That's a super well-known thing. Is it the end of the world? No. Do you want that 3-prong? No. You probably don't even want it. Like, it's not anything special, so okay. I mean, frankly, I would, if I were you, spoiler alert, if I were you, I would be happy you're getting the the bird cage that they're gonna make. What else? Oh, yeah. Regarding the muzzle device, this isn't from me, but this is something that they were telling me, CGS was telling me. They said that they wanted people to know that the reason they include a muzzle device with a silencer, besides the fact that they control the performance of the silencer because of the jet offset, the one of the big reasons is they don't want you to get hung out to dry when you're driving home from the gun store after picking it up. Like, that's what they were telling me. They because sometimes silencers don't come with muzzle devices, so that's a good point. Like, I understand. Like, as a consumer, you wait all that time to get a silencer. You finally go, your Form 4 gets approved. You go to the store, you pick it up. We've all been there, done that. You get home, you don't have the muzzle device, and you're like, oh. Or like you forgot to order it. You're like, oh man, I forgot it didn't come with a muzzle device. Like, that sucks. So yeah, I think every one they have, every silencer they sell comes with a mount or two. You know what I mean? So that's good. I don't know. That's just something they wanted me to tell you. Take it or leave it. Another thing. Someone was asking me this, and I asked CGS. People are asking, can you get it in brown flat dark Earth, and they said yeah, they're going to do that too. So yeah, I think that's cool. I was the one let's see, the ones we were shooting, the ones I have are black. The ones we were shooting that shot were black, but the ones that they were auctioning off for the charity auction, Cry Precision and Noveski were auctioning off a couple of rifles to benefit this charity, and they have SCI-SIX silencers on those, and those were FDE. So those are the ones you probably saw on social media. Those are cool. Like that, those are pretty neat looking. So yeah, you can get them in brown, or you will be able to. So that's all the, let's see. Okay, talked about durability, talked about the flash hider and how that's different. Okay, oh yeah. So the point, and I think I talked about this in the previous episode, the point of the SCI-SIX program was to create a silencer that could be fielded like the RC2, meet or exceed the performance, and do so while addressing the shortcomings of the RC2. Okay, that was like, really it was to replace the RC2 or the SAM NS. Okay, so those are the two silencers that were being used that just weren't cutting it, so to speak. So that's what the SCI-SIX program is for. That's not from me. That's just reality. That's why this exists. And if you don't like me saying it, I'm sorry. I hurt your feelings, but that's why. So in the 3-team evaluation of the program here, it was concluded that it did do that. The SCI-SIX achieved the program goals. And that was a combination of things. It was like it wasn't any one thing, right? Oh, excuse me. It wasn't any one thing that resulted in it being a success. It was the package, right? It was the whole thing. It was the durability, it was the sound, it was the flow rate, it was the mount. All that together met the targets. So I would say, and this is my opinion, these are my words, in that respect, I think the SCI-SIX program was a success. I think the rest of the program team feels that way too. We talked about it in person. I think Slade thinks that. I think CGS group thinks that. I think Noveski thinks that too. Is it a perfect 5.56 silencer? No, I don't, not by any means. Absolutely not, actually. There's already improvements that I've talked about with them and they've talked about. There's no way it's perfect. But I'm not sure we've seen the perfect 5.56 silencer yet. But the program is complete. The program's done. Will there be things more advanced than this? Yeah, absolutely. You can rest assured that will be true. Yeah. But right now, let's talk about the current program and the results. If you keep waiting for new things all the time, you're never going to get anything, right? If you keep waiting and waiting and waiting, what? You're going to, like waiting for the Hearing Protection Act to pass? That's never going to happen. I'm waiting to get a silencer until the Hearing Protection Act passes, because then I'm not going to have to pay a tax stamp. No. It's never going to pass. Ever. Okay, so stop thinking about that. Hearing Protection Act. Yeah, right. Never going to happen. They're going to try selling you that. And it's not, sell you, donate to them to make something happen. It's not going to happen. It's vaporware, man. It's like, what was that? Like when we used to play video games and they promised us Duke Nukem Forever after Duke Nukem 3D. It's like, what did they promise us? Half-Life 3? How was it? It's the year 2023. When did they say Half-Life 3 was coming? Oh man, it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. Half-Life 3 has a way better chance of being made than the Hearing Protection Act. Okay, let's get back to the review. Let's stop messing around. Like in any review discussion, we'll start at the top. Okay, that's right. Pull up if you haven't, and if you're new to the podcast, it's not always this disjointed. I promise. If you go up to pewscience.com to the section 6 of the standard, those are the sound signature reviews. I'm pulling up the member article. If you're a member, you can go ahead and go to the member page and click the latest one, Sound Signature Review 6.101. If you are not a member of Pew Science, that's okay, perfectly fine. You can pull up the free version of Articles 101, and you can follow on home. I'm not going to alienate you. We'll talk about that now. Okay, so pull it up. Okay, so we'll start at the top. 34.7 composite suppression rating on the Mark 18, 34.0 at the muzzle, 24.5 at the ear. Yeah, boy howdy. Tell you what, that's interesting. 24.5 at the ear. It's not high, no, but it's higher than we've been seeing from the 5.56 silencers, isn't it? It's higher than we've been seeing. Caught my attention in the data here in the program when we were testing these. It's higher than we've been seeing from most of the 5.56 silencers, and that's interesting. And 34 at the muzzle is that's no slouch. So it's so far, you look at that and you're like, oh, that's interesting. You just the first paragraph, for the first graphic here in the review, you look at that suppression rating graphic, you can't miss it. You're used to seeing those by now. It's 101 articles. You see this, you say, 34 at the muzzle, 24.5 at the ear. Okay. Keep that in the back of your mind. So, you scroll down, the review here, and there's a lot of info. A lot of administrative things I wrote just for completeness. A lot of things before you get to the main data here. A lot of things. You just keep scrolling. A lot of that I discussed on the previous episode. Basically, all that information there at the top of the review before you get to Table 1, all that information describes programmatically the structure of the SCI-SIX R&D program, the roles, the responsibilities, yada, yada, yada. We don't need to beat that dead horse. I think you guys already know all that. Now, it is awesome, and you need to know it. So if you haven't read it, read it, because you need to know it. I'm not going to read it to you here, okay? But I will say, and this is something that I think you should know. This is the article you send to people when they doubt Pew Science. Okay, that's right. That's what this is. Send them this. If people are doubting Pew Science, send them this article. Okay, because if people want to call me a liar now, like they usually call me a liar, right? Now, if people want to call me a liar, now they got to call Slade and Noveski a liar too, after this article, because of what we did, right? Because you can't have one person be a liar without all of them, right? So there you go, right? It's public. This is public. You can send it to whoever you want. Isn't that cool? Yeah. It's awesome. So now let's take a look at the results. Isn't that cool to be able to say that? I was like, I'm just like really excited about that. It's like, man, now I don't have to argue with anybody ever. It's like now it's kind of freeing. It's like, oh man, now it's like, okay, now if they call me a liar, it's like, okay, well then you haven't read anything. So now they just read this. I'm like, yeah, just send the link. It's like, what? They're gonna say, oh well, that rifle company's clearly part of a conspiracy to pick a silencer as the best silencer of ones that weren't being released, and they did that because what we tested silencers. We're only going to release one of them. We picked the best one. What, they all lied? What? No, it was a conspiracy. We wanted to release the one that was worse. Wait, what? That's crazy, right? Losing my mind. I was thinking about this. I was like, what are they going to say now? Like, what? Okay, now it's like the silencer cabal, right? It's like it's like the lizard people conspiracy. But yeah, Send it to whoever you want. I don't care. So let's take a look at the data. You scroll past table 1, get to figure 1. Okay, so this is pretty cool. So you got figure 8, 1A and 1B per typical. Here you see the fingerprint of the SCI-SIX variant that won the program. That's right. There were multiple variants. This is the one that was successful. Okay, so this is the main data that you see here. The first thing you may notice in figure 1B, you see a significant FRP divergence in pressure space. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying, and I label it there. That's a fancy way of saying you see more positive pressure, more activity on the black curve in early time than you see on the blue curve. You see that? Okay. That's the first thing I noticed. Actually, that's pretty interesting. And it's actually something I noticed that happens with some of this technology. It's something that I did sort of expect it, but what I didn't expect, and what is really interesting is how long it lasts. Or let me rephrase that, how short it lasts. That part's a little strange. And you see, so you look at figure 1. Let's see. Figure 1B. Okay, so you get that divergence in figure 1B. And then around, I don't know, let me click on the figure to make it bigger. You can click on these figures to make them bigger so you can blow them up. Okay, so click on make it bigger. Then around, I don't know, 30 point, maybe around the primary rarefaction point, around 30.2 milliseconds or so, you get this interesting point where it starts to track with shot 2. So like shot 1 starts to kind of just track shot 2 again after that event. So that event happens pretty short-lived and drops off. Okay. So we can look, so right now I'm just talking about pressure. Okay, I'm just talking about pressure, sound pressure level, overpressure, all the same term. Talking about overpressure in atmosphere, sound pressure level, pressure at the muzzle, those are all the same thing. Talking about that in figure 1B, right? Let's talk about it a different way. Scroll down a little further, look at figure 2. Okay, now what are we doing? Well, now we're going to look at the area under the pressure time curve, aren't we? Yeah, now we're going to look at that area projected over time, right? That's all we're doing. Okay, so now we're going to look at that area projected over time. But you're in luck. I color-coded it the same way. So shot number 1 is black again, and then shot number 2 is blue again. Okay, so you see how the black curve in figure 2A and then subsequently in the magnified view of 2B takes a dive. You see how the black curve, it goes up and all of a sudden it goes, whoa, it comes down. You see that? Yeah, that's called that is a result of expedient rarefaction. And what that ends up doing is it brings it down to the level of the other shots within about, within about 1.25 milliseconds. It takes about 1.25 milliseconds for the FRP gas dump in the primary jet to come down to normal levels. Okay? Or to stabilize would be a good way to say that. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, does that mean the silencer has no FRP? Well, no. It doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is that the FRP is not severe in this way. It's interesting. Now, you look a little closer here, you might notice something. I say this in the article. You look a little bit closer. Shot 2 tries. It tries to jump up, and it wants to be like the FRP, but it can't because there's not enough oxygen left. It tries so bad, but it can't. And it's quickly quenched. Then after shot 2, it's like business as usual, and everything's like real consistent. Really interesting. The consistency gets weird. Spooky weird, actually. It's actually, the SCI-SIX is one of the most consistent silencers we've tested on the Mark 18. This variant is one of the most consistent. really interesting. After FRP. And this is where, that's one of the ways, this is where you can tell the silencer is a high performer, and is something we definitely noticed in the program winner, and we definitely noticed in the runner-up too. And I'm going to go back to something I said, I think it was last episode or the episode before, because when I reviewed the Nomad 30, I tested and reviewed that. I wrote the article on the Nomad 30 on the Mark 18. Todd McGee, who designed the Nomad 30, wrote on Reddit publicly. He said that one of the improvements from the Nomad 30 to the later generation of the Nomad 30 and the Nomad TI, he said that one of his improvements was the consistency of the silencer, and he said that a lot of times people don't talk about that. But if you listen to this podcast, you know that I always talk about it, and I talk about it in the articles, and I'm talking about it right now, and I'm going to tell you right now, the SCI-SIX is super consistent. And that's one of the reasons why this one won the program. Okay? So you can see it in the data. I don't even have to, like, the members, and we'll talk about this later, but the members of PEW Science in the member article, you guys get data from multiple variants. So you can see. I don't have to take my word for it. You can look at the data. It's all there. It's pretty cool. So, okay, so that's, okay, I wanted to go over the muzzle impulse. What else? Oh, right. So, another thing I start talking about in this thing, I talked about a lot of stuff in here because this is a really big program. This is a big deal. So, I was talking about how I compared this with the Helios QD. That's really interesting because I think people are going to make that comparison. I think you can't help but do it. And I think they should. I think you should compare the Helios QD to the SCI-SIX. I think you should. I think you should because of the similarities of the two silencers. I think the silencers are in the same family. I think if they called the SCI-SIX a Helios variant, I wouldn't be mad about it. It wouldn't make me mad. I think that's kind of what it is in a way. But also, it does share some key differences, and I put those in the article to help people understand the overall Helios pedigree and where the SCI-SIX fits. Okay? And one thing that I think is really special about the SCI-SIX is the way the blast chamber vents. It actually opens up a really interesting performance dynamic, and I'm excited to see what happens in the future. So in the selected variant, it certainly does something interesting. We see that in the data. The early time flow rate is so interesting to me. I was shooting it, I was shooting it on my 416 clone, and I was really liking the dynamics of the system. I need more time with the silencer. I definitely need more time with it, but it's very interesting in high pressure situations like the Mark 18 and the 416. Like when you have those short 10, I think, what's my 416? A 10.4? Yeah, it's a 10.4 inch barrel, so a tenth of an inch longer than the Mark 18, 10.3 inch. It's like basically the same. On those real short, and that's really as short as I go on 5.56. On those real short barrels, it is interesting to use a silencer that is able to vent like this one, or an RC2, or a Helios QD, or a Helios DT, or a Flow 556K, which is a different thing. But it's like, if I had to describe it, it's interesting. Some silencers get overwhelmed faster, like the RC2 gets overwhelmed a little bit with the full auto on these, but and you can overwhelm this SCI-SIX as well too. But it's just the gas dynamics are interesting. I encourage you, if you're a dealer and you have access to one of these, I encourage you to mess with it. You're gonna like it. So let's see. You're gonna get more flow restriction with the SCI-SIX than you are with the Helios QD. Primarily, that is the bore size. The Helios QD has a gigantic bore. Now, the flow rate's not insanely different, but it is different. There is a difference. I think that people that have a Helios QD need to really think about what is happening when you do mag dumps, and you're able to do a lot with the Helios QD that without gassing yourself out that you will not be able to do with some other silencers, which I think is really great. The Helios QD is actually one of my favorite silencers. The SCI-SIX is going to be really good, but it's not going to be as free-flowing as the Helios QD is. If you compare both of them with a solid end cap. So you got to keep in mind, just like the Helios QD with the SCI-SIX, you can change the end caps. Now you have to stay tuned for that because there might be some interesting things you can do. So, and that's the interesting thing about having a modular end cap. There are some options. There's things that exist. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, that's the SCI. This is probably not the last SCI-SIX Mark 18 article you'll see. If I'm a betting man. Once I can get drink of water here. If I was a betting man, I would say this is not the last SCI-SIX article you'll see from PEW Science on the Mark 18. There are options. Now, I made it a point in the article to compare the optimization of the Helios to the optimization of some other silencers. Because really, what is this at the end of the day? The SCI-SIX is an optimized Helios for 556 to meet the program requirements. You got to keep in mind, the Helios QD was originally a 556 silencer to meet a certain military requirement, and it achieved it. It just so happens you can shoot like 308 through it, or whatever, and it performs like it does in the Mark 18, and some people don't like that, and whatever. But the SCI-SIX is like purpose built for super short barrel, 10.3, 11.5, whatever, 416, whatever. So that's what the SCI-SIX is. So what I did was in the article, I compared that optimization. How they moved from the Helios QD to the SCI-SIX. I compared that to some other silencers that had optimized geometry and optimized performance for short barrel 556 that were both intentional and unintentional, because I think that's interesting, because just because something was optimized doesn't mean that it was optimized on purpose. You can still have optimization. Just something can perform in an optimized fashion even if its creator didn't intend it. You can use optimized as a verb. You can say, well, I optimized that. Or you can say, well, it is optimized, and it's like, well, it just happened. Okay. And the point of me speaking about those other silencers was to illustrate what you have to do physically to get desirable 556 performance out of certain silencer designs. What did I use? I used rugged, YHM, and Q as examples. And I think those three examples all show some interesting technical characteristics to keep in mind. And I hope that helps people, okay? Go to the article and read what I said about the Razor 556, the Razor 762. Basically you have a micro 30 in the Razor 556. It could be argued that's an unintentional optimization, but it is an optimization. You have the Turbo T2. We talked about that in the freaking episode 1 of this podcast with the owner of YHM. I talked about when I did the Trash Panda review on the Mark 18, how that's probably unintended that it does so well, but we talked about why. So there's all kinds of things you need to think about, So, you look at the Helios QD versus the SCI-SIX and, what happened, what we've learned and everything. And, it's just interesting to see all these optimizations. So when you look at the SCI-SIX, you're going to, it's a dedicated 556 silencer, and you're going to get a higher flow rate. You're going to get a lower back pressure than most of the dedicated 556 cans. You're probably not going to flow as fast as like the KGM thing with events in the end. Maybe with the OSS, obviously the Huxwork stuff. The Razor 556 is going to flow faster. Or the ARCs probably. But those bores are huge, right? So yeah, it's going to have lower back pressure. What else? Yeah, because remember the Razor 556 is a micro 30 that's not modular, right? I know folks weren't happy about that, but technically the Razor 556 is optimized for 556. The fact that it's a non-modular micro 30, that's just interesting. It doesn't really take away from the fact that it's optimized for 556. Whether or not that was intentional or not, neither here nor there. Now, in the member article, let's see. Scroll down here. I gotta say something about it. I mean, there's a lot of information in the member article. Please, if you're not a member, don't feel bad. I gotta tell the members about this right now. There's a lot of information. Of course, as always, you're gonna see the high fidelity data at the shooter's head, which is very, 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 very important. And it's important for you to trust me, and that's why I show it to you. It's very important, and this data should prove to you that it is a balanced silencer. You are going to see behavior that is much different than you see with a Saker or a Polonium, or things like that. You are seeing a higher flow rate system. You're seeing less port pop. Overall, it's overall a balanced system, which is important if you are trying to do things on the Mark 18 that the RC2 does. Okay, that is one of the strengths of the RC2. Balanced performance on a super short barrel. What was the RC2 created for? The Mark 18. How does it perform? Pretty well. The SCI-SIX handles it beautifully. You can see it in the data. It's super cool to see it happen. This is history being made. Look at it. It's right there. It's in the waveforms. Now, another thing that the members see that the public doesn't is the thing I mentioned earlier. It's the comparison of the performance of all the tested SCI-SIX variants. Well, not all the things that are tested in the program, but all the SCI-SIX variants. I'll say that. I can't show you everything, but I just have to show you this. So, yeah, this is interesting because this is where the rubber meets the road, as the cliche goes. Yeah. How do you ensure? This is a good question for you. I'm going to riddle you something here. How do you ensure that the guy asking for this silencer gets the right one? How do you know? How do you know? Yeah. Well, in this section 6.101.3 here, in this section for members and for the program team, I walk through the data for each variant at a high level to show what happened and what didn't happen. That's right. And why two of the variants were really close. Because if you're not a member, you might not know that. Yeah, two of the variants were really close. That was one of the most interesting parts of this program. Picking the winner came down to two of them. And this is where people went back and forth. Multiple people were like, I don't know, maybe this one, maybe I like this one, maybe this one, maybe I like this one. But PEW Science data was clear. It showed why it was difficult for the humans. The humans were having a problem, bro. They were having a problem. And if you look at the members, look at the data, you'll see why they might have had a problem, guys. But when you get down to optimization, this is what you get to. Sometimes you want to pick the best one, and as a human, you start to like, well, I did like this one. Oh, I like this one too. Oh, but now I like this one. How come? Why is it different? Yeah, then your brain starts messing with you, right? What if there was like a way to understand this without using subjective thought? Yeah, it's cool, right? Yeah, so this section shows objectively in data space why the humans had a difficult time. It's showing the power showing the power of PEW Science. This is how powerful the analysis is, guys. Like even with the confusion, you had guys like pretty confident, and it ended up not mattering because nonetheless, the analysis is the great equalizer. And it takes out the emotion, takes out the subjectivity, and it worked. I really think you guys need to read this. If you're a member, I do encourage you to read this part because it's wild. And here's a really big thing. I think I mentioned this last episode. I can't remember if I said it or not. I'm going to say it again. If we only used peak dB and peak dB millisecond, we would have been in bad shape. I mean, the field teams wouldn't, but PEW Science would have because the results wouldn't have agreed. The suppression rating worked. It was the only thing that worked. Like the suppression rating was the thing that matched their experience. And if we didn't have that, and we didn't have these impulse waveforms and the wave shapes to explain what was going on, we would have been. Someone told me the other day that I accidentally cursed on the podcast, and their kid was in the car, so I'm trying not to curse. It's like, what's that saying when you're up a creek? I was going to say the full saying, but you'd be up a creek if you didn't have the suppression rating in this stuff, because you'd be lost. With the resolution of the data I'm showing you, and this is directly from the program's manager's mouth to your ears. He told me, he said, with this, we can see exactly what part of the... You got to keep in mind, guys, these variants, they knew exactly what they did to each variant. And so when we tested them, you look at the data, they knew exactly what each part of the silencer changes. So that's how we picked the right one. They know exactly, like, okay, so let's not do that part. Okay, let's not do that again. Okay, this does this. Perfect. Let's do that. This is R&D. This is a behind the scenes look at a real silencer solicitation from a heavy shooter evaluated by 2 field teams in a lab, and you get all the results as a member to read. I mean, this is insane. If you told me that PEW Science was going to be doing this, like, when I started this, I'd be like, dude, that would be an awesome goal to eventually do. I hope I get there someday. I never thought it would be this fast that this has happened publicly, because we've done it like not publicly, but this is public. This is crazy. You've never seen anything like this in your life ever published, ever in the silencer industry. There's nobody who's ever shown you anything remotely similar to this. I don't care. Advanced armament, no, never. Gemtech, never. AWC, never, ever. Phil Dater, Kevin Brittingham, Robert Silvers, never. Al Paulson, never. Justin Titsworth, never. Nothing close to this, never, ever. Name a guy. Reed Knight, never. Trey Knight, never. Never, ever. Ever. Okay, I'm saying that. I mean, and that's not an insult to any of those people. I realize that a lot of this I'm doing, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. So don't think I'm not grateful. Okay, especially Al Paulson. God bless that guy. But don't think for a second you've seen anything like this before, and any of those people would have shown you anything like this. So that's how big a deal it is. So when I tell you members to read it because you might not get anything like this again if it goes away. Okay? Suppression rating, boom, remember, because without the suppression rating, dead in the water. That's right. 101 articles. So now, okay, back to the public now. Obviously, you can't see the member review, so you're like, you see me going on, and I'm not going to give you I can't give the public in-depth details about the member article and the variants, because frankly, the supporters deserve it, and secondly, the program team, this is their test report. So if you don't want to join PEW Science, well, Sorry, you don't get that part. Now, check out Figure 6. The bar chart that we always look at. Now, this is in the public review. Okay. I want you to think about the other day when I talked about there being kind of a wall, right? There was a wall around 20, I want to say. There was a wall around 20 at the ear or so. Like when you kind of look at this, you're like, you're hitting 20, you're bouncing off, or you're shooting over 20 a little bit. You're like, okay. You know, it's just tough. There's this threshold that we keep hitting in the Mark 18 with a lot of conventional silencers. You're like, like what a killjoy. What a bummer, right? Now, you look at the SCI-SIX, the selected variant there that I put in the chart. I call it the SCI-SIX selection because that's the one that, the reason I use that word is like it is the selected, it is the program winner. It looks like it's approaching 25 at the ear. It's 24.5. So it's approaching 25, which that's getting into the flow-through territory signature-wise on the Mark 18, right? It's a big deal because the HXQD 556K, that got 23.4. So it beat that. And probably the reason for that is because the muzzle signature was super loud, so you just couldn't overcome that. It has a super high flow rate, but the muzzle was just so loud that thing was just like, whoa. This is a loud thing because it's kind of tiny. Not gassy at all. There's no gas at all, but it is tiny. Now, you had the Flow 556K, which is the newer generation Huxworks OSS thing that replaces this HXQD 556K. That thing, hey, that had like 31.8 at the ear. That's crazy. That's, to this day, ridiculous to me. I'm still like, the Flow 556K to me still doesn't even make sense, dude. I'm just like, every time, and remember when I tested it, I told you guys, I tested that over and over and over because I was like, what? I was like, man, these numbers, this is weird. I was like, really? Yeah, that's real. Ridiculous. But the SCI-SIX, but yeah, and look at the Flow 556K muzzle signature, right? Like 20, like 26, 25.8. So yeah. So you look at the SCI-SIX, you're like, okay, it hangs. I mean, for a non-flow through, okay, for a non-flow through silencer, the SCI-SIX is hanging because, I mean, if you look at the R556 from KGM, what do you got? You got 22.9 at the ear, almost 23. But let's call it 23 at the ear. R556, that thing has a high flow rate. Well, the SCI-SIX, it's beating that at the ear and beating at the muzzle by a lot. So that's very interesting. It's very interesting. And then when you compare the SCI-SIX to the RC2, the 556 RC2 that is, with 3-prong, which is like the gold standard Mark 18 system, right? When you compare it to that, the differential at the ear, it's greater than the differential at the muzzle, which is interesting. Okay. Then when you compare the SCI-SIX to the polonium, same thing, right? So the SCI-SIX is doing something. It's doing something interesting. All right. And so members, this is one thing I'm going to tell the public about the member data. Members will see in the variant descriptions, one of the variants that was tested was actually able to do better at the ear than the one that won. Like really good, but it didn't meet the overall program goal, so it didn't get selected. Okay, so that's the thing. Like in the program, what you see, the 24.5 at the ear and the 34 at the muzzle of the SCI-SIX, that's what won. Those numbers were the winner. Okay, so it had the highest holistic suppression rating. It had the highest composite rating, and for good reason. Okay, we assigned ratings to all of them. Wasn't, you know, the suppression rating. So we got muzzle and ear. So we got all the data, got the muzzle and ear suppression ratings for all the variants, and then the composite rating for all the variants was calculated, and this one was the top. Okay. So yeah, so that's the one that won. But I did want to say, like, the blue and the red, these bars can shift with SCI-SIX variants. I mean, we had. God, there was a variant with a blue bar that was like going like super high. Whoa, but like it wasn't quite enough for bystanders, so didn't win. Now, when I look at this chart, this figure 6, I see some things I like overall, like in the whole group. You know, like I'm just like talking big picture now, right? So I see some things I like overall in the whole group. I like this. Okay, here's what I like. I like when we can get good muzzle suppression with decent at-ear suppression on the Mark 18. I like that. Like, that's my jam. Like, with no tuning. Forget tuning for a second, okay? Like, I like to be able to put a 5.56 silencer on the Mark 18, and if it does, like, pretty good at the ear and, like, really good at the muzzle, like, that's my jam. Like, not having to tune the gun is pretty cool. What that does is it lets me know we can do some work with tuning. Okay? It's not going to make the silencers perfect, but tuning can help. It can help. Now, that's why, but it's like that's like with things like the NT4 are interesting, right? And the RC2. The polonium is interesting because I think you can do some things with it. Maybe with the K too. The K, it's interesting, just like because polonium system is just like a really restrictive system. I think we're seeing the landscape of 5.56 silencers start to come into shape. I do. We're seeing what to expect with high performance silencers. We're seeing what to expect with some 30 caliber silencers that aren't designed for 5.56 SBRs. I think you're seeing that you might actually do way worse than you think you will do sometimes. I think that's like an overall takeaway to start to look at now. Like if you like, and this is, I mean no disrespect, but you need to see some of this. If you look at a Razor or an Arx or a Sam NS, and then you compare it to the SCI-SIX and the RC2, the polonium, like, I mean, you guys, you're in a different land. You're in a different realm with signature reduction. And yeah, is 5.56 loud? Absolutely. But in the sound field near the operator, behind the Mach wave, like when you're behind the Mach wave, like that's something you guys, I'm going to have to start doing some even more technical articles and some other testing to show you, like, you guys aren't understanding. When you're behind the Mach wave, and there are things you can do to your 5.56 SBR to make it much more pleasant than unsuppressed. And silencers like the SCI-SIX and the RC2 and the polonium, they're helping you do that. Be cognizant of your requirements. I think you guys have a lot of information to help you now. I think you have a lot of information to help you with decisions for your applications. I think for people who don't want to go flow through, or they want the option to be able to maybe flow more or maybe not have to, I think the SCI-SIX offers that. I think it does. I mean, objectively, right? You have the changeable end caps. It could be interesting in the future. You have to stay tuned for that. We'll have to see how that shakes out, because there's probably not just there. Well, I can tell you, there's not just a vented one. Right? I mean, like you saw for the Helios, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. So, one thing I forgot to say, I just realized I forgot to say about the mount, because we were talking about the mount and the fact that it's going to come with a closed time bird cage thing and not a 3-prong. One thing I will say about the mount system, which I think is interesting, and I do like it, I think it's smart that an unintentional, well, it's kind of intentional too, One benefit of this is that it fixes the distance to the first orifice. You're not going to have people jacking with that, like by using a bunch of adapters and stuff. Dude, I'm telling you right now, and look, I think I can say this. I'm friends. Like I hung out with Reardon at SHOT. They're the folks from Reardon Manufacturing. They are awesome. Like shout out, sir, you're a gentleman and a scholar. If I was a silencer designer, which I'm not, but if I was, I like when you control the gas dynamics with a proprietary mount. I do. I like that. I like that. From an engineering standpoint, it makes me comfortable. I'm not CGS, okay? But I feel like if I was CGS, I would feel comfortable with this. It makes me have a warm fuzzy. That's why I've always like the rugged. I say the same thing about rugged. I'm saying the same thing about CGS right now. I've said about rugged like ad nauseum. Like I have always felt that rugged was really smart. Maybe they didn't make as much money, but I always thought, or maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know how much money they make. I'm saying like maybe that's not. I don't know anything. I don't know about that. But I was like, I was thinking rugged was smart because they didn't have to worry about other mounts. They knew exactly what to expect with the performance of their silencer because they're using their mounts and they know what was going to happen. Like whether that's sound, gas, durability, retention, concentricity, they know they're using their mount. They can narrow it down to the barrel. They get being wrong or something, or they know like, well, the rugged rifle silencers are pretty simple, so the distance to the orifice isn't going to be as big a deal. But like something like a CGS silencer, like those the way the muzzle jets into the silencer is so important for that technology that like, I wouldn't start giving someone the option to like do whatever they wanted. Like that's not my people are like, oh, it's a free market, it's my product, I own it. It's like yeah, you do, but like do you know what to do with your silencer? No. So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like but on the flip side of that, you have the Helios QD where that was proven on a large scale. You see, look at the suppression rating chart here. Helios QD has a lower suppression rating on the Mark 18. Is that because of the bore? Well, yeah, partially, but also it's the distance to the orifice and the blast chamber type. Because I can tell you, Helios DT is something different, so we figured that out. So what I'm saying is like, I talk about this mount, and people are like, that they poo-poo it, and they're like, well, I hate that it's a proprietary mount. It's like, I get it. Like you want to use all the other 16 bajillion mounts you bought, but also you should kind of be happy that it's a proprietary mount in a way. You know what I mean? Like technically, like I don't know who like complains that Surefire has a proprietary mount. Like who complains about that? Like you want to use a different mount? I mean, well, in the Surefire's case, you probably do because it leaks. But anyway, you get my point. So yeah, okay. What else did I say in the article? Oh yeah, I said some big words in there about I said that the RC2 proved that balanced suppression on the Mark 18 was feasible. I used the RC2 as a kind of a pivotal system that accomplished that. I think the RC2 is a classic silencer. That silencer deserves credit for all kinds of stuff. It's awesome. I love the RC2. I will say I think that SCI-SIX did it better on the Mark 18 objectively. I think that's a big deal. Is it a huge amount better? I don't think so. Does better at the ear, does a little bit less at the muzzle. I mean, some people think it's a wash. I don't know. Does it help with a higher flow rate? I think the mount's better. I think it's more durable. So I think it wins. It's not a lot of people are like, they get mad. It's, well, you can like multiple things. I think, is it worlds better? It's like, well, if you look at any one of those things, well, no. I don't think so. But if you look at the incremental improvements, I mean, when you add them all up, when you have all the things, it can be significant, man. Like, it depends on your use case, though, right? Like, so in that respect, I think it's worthy of note. I think it's worth talking about. I I think you're a little lighter, right? I can't remember. Oh, guys, hold on. Let's see. I don't know how much this weighs. What did I say in the review? 19.6 ounces total. Okay, so let me open an RC2 article. I know I have a link in here, so I don't have to hunt for it. 1 second, dude. Oh, guys. Okay, RC2. Okay, so 19.6 for the SCI-SIX with the mount. Okay, 20.8 with the RC2 with the mount. Okay, it's the same thing. it's like an ounce. Okay, so you're lighter. You have the same length, and you're an ounce lighter with the SCI-SIX. Okay, so technically it's true. It's lighter. So yeah, not a ton, but lighter package. I think it's interesting how often people people don't really complain about the weight of the RC2, right? Like you talk about you talk about different heavy silencers or whatever on guns, and people using the RC2, they're, I don't know, of all the criticisms of the silencer, some people who use a war comp think it's loud because it is with the war comp. People, oh, and by the way, I talked to Surefire again at SHOT. They are acutely aware that my war comp data is correct. Just in case there were any doubt still. Okay, so don't I don't know if some people, I don't know if you know this, but and some of you who knew the podcast, you might not know, I published in-depth analysis of 3-prong versus war comp on the 7.62 RC2 and the 5.56 RC2 on multiple weapon systems, and we saw how drastically the war comp affects performance, and Surefire's aware. Whether or not they knew that before I tested that or not, I don't know, but I am telling you, I had a in-person discussion with them about it just to verify that they were on the level. And they were. So, people, so when people complained about the RC2, I always felt like I thought they were loud because people always said that. But then after I tested it, turns out no. The RC2 got a bad rap from a lot of people because the war comp got really popular and rightfully so, because the war comp's a great muzzle device when you shoot it unsuppressed. But people were buying their war comp. I'm sorry, people were buying an RC2 and using their war comp with it. And then they were like, man, this silencer's really loud. And the physical mechanism by which that opinion was being generated, that was the shockwave at their face from the war comp leak that we've shown in DataSpace and the member reviews. So that's why people, that's why that's why the RC2 got a bad rap. And that's the thing people complained about with the RC2. But you know what they never complained about? The weight. Because you know why? Well, the RC2 is not very long. So what does that mean? Well, it means that it's not putting the moment arm super far away like a Sam NS or like a Rugged Surge, because it's not really, really long. And so maybe that's why they didn't complain about the weight. But I'm here to tell you this SCI-SIX, I was just browsing ARFCON. People were talking about, oh, it's really heavy. I was like, oh, that's interesting. RC2 is an ounce heavier than the SCI-SIX, and the SCI-SIX is the same length. So the SCI-SIX should feel exactly the same on the gun as the RC2, if not a little better. So you know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting. What else we're going to talk about? Yeah, all in all, neat silencer. I have two of the variants on my desk right now, sitting here. I was looking at them earlier because I was messing with them out. Neat program. Left-hand taper mount. Length of the RC2, won't break it. Lighter, looks cool. Probably shoot 6mm through it, but don't quote me on that. Changeable end caps. What else? It's neat. Will I put it on my guns? I have. You guys have seen me put RC2 on my gun, right? Like, so why would I not put an SCI-SIX on my guns? He's biased. No. Does that show bias, really? I mean, I use my own data, so I'm biased in that I want to use my data to get good performance. I don't know. You know what I mean? So I had a blast. Shooting them on my 416. That was awesome. When I was testing those adjustable gas blocks the adjustable gas block that I installed on BRN4, that 416 on my Anderson machine gun. Oh my gosh, dude! I was shooting the variant that won on there. I need more time with it though. Like I said before, I need more time with this on that gun. I enjoy suppressed 5.56. I would never, ever shoot 5.56 without a silencer. I don't know what you're smoking. If you're shooting 5.56 without a silencer, you're doing it wrong. Like it is so loud, dude. Like people are like, well, it's gonna be loud anyway. It's like no. It's not gonna be loud anyway. It is without a silencer. It is gonna be loud. With a silencer, it is gonna be orders of magnitude quieter, literally. An unsuppressed Mark 18 is a bad day. It's a bad day, dude. It's a bomb. It's a bomb going off right in your face, dude. That is overpressure, town, USA, population U. Okay, put a silencer on your gun. I don't care what silencer you pick. Go to the chart. Let's see. Let's scroll up. We have time. Hour and a half in, we have time. Scroll up. Scroll down because I had scrolled up. Figure 6. Okay, pick a silencer right there. Let's see. What's the lowest at shooter's ear suppression rating on the chart? SOCOM 5.56 RC2 with the war comp. See, isn't that interesting? Doesn't that explain why everyone thought the 5.56 RC2 was loud on 5.56? Well, look at in the data. It's the loudest on the chart with the war comp. But then it's ranked second overall with the 3-prong. Funny how that works, isn't it? Yeah. So take the loudest thing you could possibly do, the 5.56 RC2 with a war comp. You still get 13.3 at the ear. Unsuppressed, you're barely getting 2. You're less than 2. You're gonna get. There's some occasions you'd be shooting next to something, you're gonna get 0. It's gonna bang your ear. It's nonsensical. Once you get that low in the suppression rating, just don't do it. It's gonna hurt so bad. So bad for you, dude. You permanent hearing damage instantly, dude. If you don't think that's permanent hearing damage instantly, well, talk to your doctor. It's like your audiologist. It's so loud. So yeah, any silencer you pick, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a ARX. That's not quiet, but hey, do it. Never shoot 5.56 unsuppressed without hearing protection. It's bad. It's bad for you. I know some of you are like, oh, it doesn't matter. I can do it. It's like, well, it's only one shot. It's like, well, I know. Yeah, but it's bad. Let's see. What else? Oh. For me, I was going to say if I was going to use the silencer personally. I mean, for me, to be able to use something that is basically an RC2, which I love, in this form factor, like the way I think is cool. I mean, I'm excited because now we have the RC2 and the SCI-SIX. You know, like RC2 is one of my favorite silencers. Like no secret. I'm always team RC2. I think it's cool. I think it looks cool. I think it's iconic. I think now the industry wins in a big way from the SCI-SIX program. I mean, Slade, you could thank him. I mean, he created this program, put us all together in one room to make it happen, and like it happened. I think the more the merrier now with silencer models. I mean, the fact that you got an RC2 and you can have an SCI-SIX, man, if you're a consumer, you're winning. You're winning everywhere. You can't stop winning. Everyone wins from this. It's amazing, dude. Like, you don't understand the level of technology that you have now because of this. Like, it's a different planet. So that's what I'll say. I think, and I'll close this topic. Finally, I will say big thanks. Big thanks to Noveski and Slade. Pizza Boys. Yeah, there's a shooting team at Noveski that they call themselves the Pizza Boys. They told me the story why, but it's not my story to tell. At SHOT Show, they definitely opened their circles to me, and they included me in wonderful discussions, and I am really honored for that. I'm honored to be a part of this program, honored to be a part of that group of people, honored to know all these folks. Big shout out to CGS for being awesome. They have supported this effort from the beginning, even before they were clients. And at a time when a bunch of people were doubting me. Okay? They're OGs. I think CGS, they're OG PEW Science. From the beginning. So respect. Also, big shout out to Josh Parker. I'm going to go on record. I'm going to go on record and say he is one of the best and most prolific silencer designers of this generation. The guy works really hard. Respect. The world hasn't seen everything he's done, and it is, I am telling you, he's on another level. And so just getting to work with that guy to validate the performance of his designs is like one of the biggest honors I've ever had in my life. Not only in PEW Science, but like as an engineer. So I'm like, yeah, pretty honored about that. So anyway, that is all I'm going to say about that. I spent a long time on that topic, but if you have any questions about that or the SCI-SIX or whatever, always contact the manufacturer. But if you have any technical questions, I'll always be happy to answer those because I think I know pretty much all about the silencer. More than probably anyone outside the program team. Okay, let's move into topic 2. A time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 52 seconds. Oh, man. I wanted to finish this earlier today, but that's okay. These next 2 topics aren't going to go too slow, but I do have something to say. One moment. Topic 2, the Knights Armament. There's another company who's doing great things. CGS is doing great things. Knights Armament has always done great things throughout the years. Knights Armament, Mark 23 and USP silencer. I've been shooting it. It's mine. Been shooting on the Mark 23. I've been liking it. Can't wait to test it. I think 45 might be better than 300 blackout, man. So what a neat setup. It's a neat setup, and I show it a lot. Is it attainable for everyone? No. Do a lot of people like it? Absolutely. Live vicariously through me if you want. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you except that I like it. I like this, and I want to talk about it. And that's usually what I do. If I'm talking about a gun or a silencer, and it's not a technical discussion about an article I wrote, it's because I like it. And that's one of the reasons I do this podcast. Self-expression. That's right. But yeah, it's cool. It uses an O-ring in the pistons there to increase resistance to unscrewing from the barrel. Many silencers do that, but as a consequence of this, though, in this particular one, and how the O-ring sits inside the piston groove, forward of the threads, when you take the silencer on and off the gun, on and off, it will chew up that O-ring a little bit. So over time, you will need to replace the O-ring. That's right. And the good thing is, O-rings are super cheap. Now, Knights Armament does sell some blue O-rings. And I know that the KAC people, they're going to buy them because man, I think they're just like silicone O-rings. They're blue. A lot of O-rings are color coded. They're blue ones. I measured the one that came in my Mark 23 piston and in the USP piston. I have both those pistons for the silencer. Turns out those O-rings are the same size. They have the same Knights Armament part number. I took the measurements and I went to the standard O-ring size charts on the internet. And so you got Imperial sizes. You got metric sizes. So I saw that the size 015 is very close, if not a perfect match. So I ordered a bunch of different material than silicone. I think I ordered some silicone ones, but I also ordered some Vuitton O-rings. These ones happen to be brown. Vuitton O-rings are not always brown. You can get them black. These are brown. So I swapped the blue one out that came with it to a brown one. It's a little harder. So it has a little higher durometer. I want to say these are 75 durometer, 70 or 75 durometer. I think they're 75. So anyway, it fits snugly, which is great. That's what you want. Now, haven't shot it with that brown one yet, but I will, and I will let you know how it goes. You can get a pack of 100 O-rings for like $12. That's probably like 2 orders of magnitude cheaper than you could get a genuine Knights Armament O-ring for. You know what I mean? So it's like, I guarantee you buy a pack of those O-rings from Knights Armament, it's going to cost you like $25. What, I got 100 for $12, right? I mean, it's like, come on, I'm not going to, I mean, nothing wrong. I'm sure the Knights Armament O-rings are nice, but they're not going to be. Look, I guarantee you, Knights is not custom manufacturing O-rings for this silencer. Okay, that would be clinically insane. They don't have the time to manufacture a custom O-ring. Okay, they're getting off the shelf parts. They're going to repackage it. That's a COTS that's a commercial off the shelf O-ring. I assure you, they do not have an O-ring manufacturing facility. Okay, so because you might, why is he talking about the O-rings? Well, the name of the game with a silencer like this is never let it unscrew enough to get a baffle strike. Okay, this is not negotiable. You do not want that to happen with a silencer. That would be bad. Okay, that is why I am focusing so much on this. I'm not saying that from a safety issue. I'm saying that for an administrative issue. I do not want to have to send the silencer back to Knights. I'm not breaking it. Okay, this is my baby. I'm not breaking it. It took me forever to find one. So I want to make sure I do my due diligence as an owner of this system and pay it forward as always to inform others that have the silencer and maybe other silencers that might unscrew how this works. Okay, I take this very seriously with like a collector's item like this that I'm shooting a lot. I see all these people on the internet. They're like, oh my gosh, they post a picture of their alignment rod, which is like barely aligned in the silencer. Like, should I send it? They're sending on Reddit and stuff like that. I'm like, you guys, you're taking your stuff way less seriously than I do. Like when I install a silencer on a gun, if it's not perfectly, like if something's wrong with it, I don't shoot it. Like if this is my personal silencer, like what are you doing? Like don't go on the internet for that. You need to figure this out and you need to go to a professional and figure it out. You need to talk to the manufacturer. You go on the internet, you start talking to people, asking internet stranger, send it, bro. It's like what are you even doing? You know? You should talk to the gun manufacturer, talk to the silencer manufacturer, make sure your stuff's right. That's what I'm doing with this. I'm not, and I'm trying to help people. I'm going to put this so you can Google, that technical data package I have, or technical data package, the small arms technical information I put on my website for the HK 416 gas blocks, where you can go on pewscience.com. I'm going to add the Knights Armament O-rings when I'm done with all this to that too. You see what I'm doing with that page? I'm gonna start adding these things that like no one knows but like needs to know, and they'll just be a reference forever. It'll be on the internet forever. Okay, it'll be cool. So what else? Right. So people are kind of wondering probably. They're like, man, like why is Jay so hot and heavy on this Knights Armament pistol can? It's old. Well, I'm gonna tell you. It's old, but it's advanced, and it's not that long. That's something you have to understand. This is a 45 pistol silencer, and it's not that long. So as far as comparing it to other 45 pistol silencers of the same length, I'm going to test this, dude. I'm going to test on the USB 45 Tactical and the Mark 23, and we're going to see what happens. I'm still waiting on my USP, so it's going to be a minute for that because I'm going to do it all at once. So I'm not going to go out twice. So we'll do that because it's internal research. Use Pew Science dollars for that. Let's see, because everyone wants to know how the Knights Armament silencer performs. This is iconic. The whole world wants to know. We're going to use Pew Science dollars for that. Back to the gun. Mark 23. Really enjoy shooting it. Big shout out to HK. I was actually at SHOT Show speaking with HK. And they're sending me some more magazines just because they're cool. That's right. I didn't even ask them. And they told me they were sending me mags. That's how cool they are. Does HK hate you? No, they don't. In my experience, the German government hates you, not HK. HK loves you. HK loves you, and they want you to use their weapons because their weapons are awesome. If HK could sell all of their weapons to you, they would. Because they take pride in their weapons because they're some of the best weapons on the planet. Does HK hate you? HK does not hate you, dude. The German government really doesn't like you. Or anyone. I don't think they like anybody. Now, have more rounds shot through the Mark 23 as of this week. Fired by Mrs. PEW Science as well. She's been shooting it suppressed. We have not put any unsuppressed rounds to the gun. Does it have more recoil than 9mm? Yes. Is there hard recoil with this system? No, absolutely not. One of my favorite things to do so far? Obliterate dry cow patties from distance. Man, you're shooting. I'm just plinking, right? But 45 ACP? Dude, there's a lot of momentum. That's 230 grain. 230 grain bullet. I made a joke. I made a joke today on social media that 300 blackout is weird. And it's lighter than 45 ACP, and it's more expensive. I was just joking. I was like half joking because it's true though. Like if you're gonna be doing subsonic only, the advantage to 300 blackout is you can shoot it with like common AR parts, right? With a barrel change. And you can argue the fast twist too. Okay, but come on. The advantage of 45 ACP, you know what the advantage of that is with subsonic? You can ask a homie where your briefcase is, like in a dark alley, and you can use your USP. That's right. You can ask, hey homie, is that my briefcase? Yeah. You can't do that with 300 blackout. You can only do that with like a USP 45 tactical. Remember that movie Collateral with Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx? Yeah, no. The USP 45 tactical, it's funny. It's smaller. It's smaller than the Mark 23. Like the frame and slider smaller, and the grip is actually a little bit smaller. Like if you grip like side by side. So if that's a big deal to you with the Mark 23, you can go for the USP 45. But it's just not. It's not going to be a Mark 23 in the size or robustness. So it's just not as. To me, it's not as cool, but it's still great. I'm gonna give you guys some good objective comparisons with the test data when I get that USP, so I can because I wanted the tactical, so I could test it on the side. So I ordered it a while back, like a long time ago. So when it finally comes in, we'll do the test, and it'll be cool. Like I'll break it in, get a bunch of rounds through it, then we'll go and we'll do both back to back, and we'll see. Like it'll be like the fight to the death with the same silencer. Okay, I have a feeling. I know that I have a feeling the Mark 23 is going to be quieter, but hey, I've seen stranger things happen. So, what else was I going to tell you? Oh, right, holsters. So, holster wise for the Mark 23, man, I almost bought a leather shoulder rig today. I got to stay off Amazon because I get tempted, but I do have a leather outside the waistband holster, which is my jam. Love those. Shoulder holsters are dope too, so I might do that. I kind of want a pouch for the silencer. Like, one of my buddies, he uses a tourniquet pouch for a silencer when he carries. I usually use the outside pocket of my fanny pack for like a short silencer, but the night silencers, first of all, I don't think the Mark 23 fits in my fanny pack. Second of all, I don't think the night silencer fits in the other part of my fanny pack, so I need something else or a bigger fanny pack. So yeah. So if you're looking for and this is not an endorsement, this is just like me talking to you about a cool gun I bought. If you are looking for a cool, large, interesting 45 pistol, I think the Mark 23 fits that. I think I will probably hunt with it. Seems like a fun thing to do, like getting really close to a deer and popping them with a 45. I think it seems reasonable. I talked to David from Discreet Ballistics. That they used to support PEW Science. He's a good guy. I saw him at SHOT. Shout out, David, if you're listening. I asked him to make me some solid copper expander bullets for 45. He laughed at me. I think I'll probably just use self-defense ammo or something, just, hollow points or something to hunt with. Just to get maximum like expansion. I mean, what a big bullet, subsonic, and you get up close. I think it'll expand just fine. Momentum's important though. 230 grains, man. Penetration. You know what I'm saying? I think we can accomplish that with 45. So stay tuned. Maybe I'll put some hogs down this summer with it. I need to get an infrared. I need to get that light laser module thing. I need to get an infrared laser for it. Stay tuned. Topic 3 I'm running out of gas. Topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 50 minutes. Oh my God, and 9 seconds. Yeah, this went too long. Okay, that's okay. Topic 3, PEW Science testing. This is important. The effort does continue. I want to start exploring more use cases that are more complicated to you to give you an idea of what to expect outside the free field. So testing might evolve. I do want to ask you, I will be asking you soon, like what are some of your most desired setups and your most desired locations? Feel free to leave these in the comments too on Instagram. That would be great. Start some conversations. Like I want to talk about how you're using your silencers. I noticed when I was at SHOT Show, it was neat because I was able to shoot. I actually don't get, you guys don't realize this, but I don't get to shoot as much as I would like to shoot. So when I went to SHOT Show, I did get to shoot some more, which was cool. And I shot some more 11.5 mid with Slade because he likes that platform like I do. So he shoots that, I shoot that. And, that's why a lot of my personal uppers are 11.5 mids. So I wanted to ask you guys, like, what are you wanting to see? Do you really want 11.5 mid data? Like 14.5 mid, different buffers, A5, all that stuff. People do ask me, and it's like, it's funny. I spoke with Daniel Defense and some other rifle companies at SHOT. I do think that 14.5 mid is looking pretty good, guys, for the next major test host. And frankly, I want to do a fixed gas block on it, like comes with it. Just like the Mark 18. And I think tuning the gun for every silencer test, for every silencer, I don't think it's a good idea. I think back pressure still matters on 14.5. I think you're going to need to know how much. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to do tune testing. I think it just means that the next major platform host is probably going to have a fixed gas block. I think that's going to benefit more people like that. I think the tune test will be spot checks of low and high flow rates. I think tuned, we take them and we say, okay, well, let's do these are really fast flowing. These are really restrictive. What is the tuning? Like, what's the gain? And then by the time we do like 4 or 5 of them in like one article or something, like, just do a tuning article. It doesn't have to be like multiple articles and make you wait. Let me just do, you know what I mean? Because I've already proven the efficacy, right? So let me just do this. Let me just, for members, and it'll be a member article. We'll get the 14.5. We'll start testing whatever. And then I'll also I'll pick, I don't know, like the top 3 performing 5.56 silencers at the muzzle and the top 3 at the ear. Test them on 11.5 mid tuned and see what we get. And that'll be like the 11.5 mid tuned, SBR tuned, done. It's like tuned to the tune to the tune. Super low dwell time, adjustable gas block tuned to the gills. Surefire OBC, the best you can get for an SBR. We'll do that. And we'll see what it makes a difference. And then we'll go on to 14.5 standard. And then when we're done with that, tune it. And, you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? Like something like that. Just so it can be like, we'll kill a bunch of birds with one stone with 11.5 mid. It'll be for members. It'll give all the members like a reward for being so patient. And a reward for supporting the effort, like you should, because it's PEW Science. And then, we'll have the 14.5 for everybody. Right? Okay. That's the current plan, I think. Let's see what else. Oh, right. Indoor testing. I was going to talk about that. I need to show consumers and law enforcement and military how your hearing damage risk increases when you shoot inside. I need to show you what happens when you shoot in your hallway or your bedroom or your living room, or you're a SWAT team and you have a guy in front of you and behind you, your teammates. What happens to them? What's the overpressure like? What's the sound pressure like? So I need to do that too. So right now, there's a lot to add in the standard. I think there's a lot of new testing. I think there's a lot of new clients. I know they're hard. There's a lot of new stuff on the books actually. In first quarter, it's really crowded. with work, if you are waiting on a proposal and you are a silencer company, I am not ignoring you. I am just swamped because a lot of people got to me before you got to me at the end of last year. So I know I saw one silencer company complaining publicly on social media that it's like, okay, guys, complain to me. Don't complain to consumers. You come to me if you have a problem. But right now, I'm telling you, our backlog is huge. Okay, so we're working on it. All right. And what else? Yeah, we're busy. Busy's good. There's a lot to do. I think I met a lot of people at SHOT Show that were awesome. Shout out to everyone I met. I hope that I did the discussion today justice. There's a lot to talk about. I think we hit less than 2 hours, which is great. I hope I covered what you guys wanted to know about the SCI-SIX program. I hope I covered what you wanted to know about the silencer itself. I hope you learned a little something. With regard to a deep dive and why the silencer does the way it does, why the silencer does what it does, it's all about early time flow rate and the diameter of the aperture. Keep in mind, those end caps, those are Hyperion end caps, dude. Those end caps are big. So, wild, right? And still got a 34 at the muzzle. So, think about that. You guys really need to understand that what's going on. Like now you're it's not even that radical. That's all that is like a little bit optimized Helios. You don't understand. Like there's no other silencer that's doing something like that, like with a aperture that big. So just remember, this is like tip of the iceberg stuff. So I hope you guys are kind of inferring that from some of the discussions. Okay, so please stay safe out there. We'll return next week with some more data and analysis per typical. Okay, I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.